You wake up with the best intentions, maybe even make a to-do list. But then, your phone buzzes, an email pops up, a friend texts you a funny meme, and before you know it, half the day is gone. It feels like you're always playing catch-up, always reacting instead of being in control. It's frustrating, right? You want to focus, to lock in on what matters, but your mind keeps wandering. The human mind is like a candle in the wind, flickering, easily swayed, struggling to stay steady. And let's be real, in today's world, distractions are everywhere. But what if it didn't? What if you could train your mind to be unshakable? Imagine sitting down to work and getting completely lost in the process, undisturbed by the chaos around you. Imagine being so dialed in that time slows down and you finally feel in control of your thoughts, your actions, your life. The Stoics believed this wasn't just possible, it was essential, because focus isn't just about getting things done, it's about mastering yourself. And today, we're going to tap into their ancient wisdom to sharpen your mind like a warrior's blade, cutting through the noise and stepping into a new level of mental clarity and strength. Most of us go through life on autopilot, constantly reacting instead of consciously choosing where to direct our attention. We check our phones without thinking. We scroll mindlessly, jumping from one thing to the next, never fully present in the moment. And the worst part? We don't even realize it's happening. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let that sink in for a moment. The world around you will always be noisy, chaotic, and unpredictable. But if your mind is the one thing you truly have control over, doesn't it make sense to train it like a warrior preparing for battle? The problem is, we've been conditioned to react, to notifications, to emails, to the endless stream of opinions and distractions pulling us in every direction. And every time we give in, every time we allow our focus to be hijacked, we weaken our ability to truly think, create, and live with purpose. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young warrior in ancient Rome, eager to train his mind and spirit under a great Stoic master. He had heard of Epictetus, a former slave who had endured suffering, risen above hardship, and become one of the greatest philosophers of his time. Surely this man held the key to unshakable discipline, the kind of focus that could turn an ordinary man into a legend. Determined, the warrior traveled miles to find him, expecting grand teachings, maybe secret techniques, deep philosophical debates, or rigorous training that would push his mind to its limits. But when he arrived, Epictetus didn't hand him a sword or deliver a long lecture. Instead, he pointed to a wooden chair in the corner of the room and said, "Sit here. Do nothing for an hour." The warrior hesitated. That was it? Just sitting? This seemed beneath him, too easy for someone who had already endured brutal combat training. But he obeyed. At first, he sat confidently, thinking this would be effortless. But within minutes, his leg twitched. His fingers started drumming against his thigh. His mind began wandering. He thought about past battles, future victories, what he would eat later. A fly buzzed near his ear, and he resisted the urge to swat it. Then, an itch crept onto his neck, and he fought the desire to scratch. The more he tried to stay still, the harder it became. His mind screamed for movement, for action, for something to distract him from the discomfort of simply being still. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, but was only a few minutes, he sighed in frustration and stood up. "This is pointless," he muttered. Epictetus watched him calmly, a knowing smile on his face. "If you cannot master yourself in stillness," he said, "how will you master yourself in battle?" The warrior fell silent. He realized then that focus wasn't about brute force or physical training. It was about control over impulses, emotions, and the endless chatter of the mind. And if he couldn't even sit still for an hour, how could he expect to stay composed in the chaos of war? This lesson is more relevant today than ever. We are in a battle, not with swords, but with distractions. And the enemy is relentless. Every time you give in to distraction, you train your mind to be weaker. But every time you resist, you strengthen your focus, your willpower, your ability to stay locked in on what truly matters. I've expanded the paragraph while keeping the meaning and tone intact, making it even more engaging and relatable. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with focus is because they chase too many things at once. We live in a world that glorifies multitasking, answering emails while on a call, scrolling through social media while watching TV, starting 10 projects and finishing none. And yet, despite all this activity, we feel stuck, as if we're running on a treadmill but never getting anywhere. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, warned against this when he said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." Think about that for a moment. When your attention is scattered in 1,000 directions, where are you really? Nowhere. You're physically present, but mentally, you're fragmented. Half here, half there, never fully engaged in anything. And because of that, you never make real progress. The Stoics understood that true power comes from single-minded attention. Imagine a lion hunting in the wild. Does it randomly sprint after every animal it sees? Number. It locks onto one target, moves with patience and precision, and when the moment is right, it strikes with full force. If the lion got distracted, if it suddenly decided to chase a different animal mid-sprint, it would go hungry. You must do the same. Every time you divide your focus, you weaken your ability to succeed. Whether it's your work, your goals, or even a simple conversation, commit fully. If you're writing, write. If you're reading, read. If you're speaking with someone, give them your undivided attention. When you train your mind to focus on one thing at a time, you'll accomplish more in a day than most people do in a week. But here's the challenge. Staying focused is hard. No matter how disciplined you try to be, life will always throw distractions your way. Your phone will buzz. Someone will demand your attention. Your mind will wander, lured by the endless temptations of the modern world. The Stoics knew this. They understood that the human mind is naturally restless, easily pulled in different directions. That's why they developed mental exercises to sharpen their focus, to remind themselves of what truly matters. One of the most powerful of these exercises is Memento Mori, the practice of remembering that you will die. At first, this may sound dark, even uncomfortable, but it's not meant to be depressing. It's meant to wake you up. When you truly grasp that your time is limited, that every second slipping away is one you'll never get back, everything changes. Suddenly, those distractions lose their grip on you. Think about it. If today were your last day, would you waste it scrolling mindlessly through your phone? Would you spend it stressing over meaningless drama, worrying about things outside your control? Of course not. You'd focus. You'd give your full presence to the things and people that actually matter. That's the power of Memento Mori. It cuts through the noise and forces you to see life with clarity. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, "You are living as if destined to live forever." Your own frailty never occurs to you. You don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as though you had a full and overflowing supply. We don't. Time is slipping through our fingers every single day. And when you fully realize this, you stop wasting it. You become intentional. You focus, not because you have to, but because you see the truth. Life is short, and every moment is an opportunity. I've expanded the paragraph to make it more immersive, relatable, and emotionally impactful while keeping the original meaning intact. Another powerful Stoic practice is voluntary discomfort. And let's be honest, modern life has made us soft. We have endless entertainment at the tap of a finger, food delivered to our doors, and every convenience imaginable. Need something? Order it. Bored? Scroll. Uncomfortable? Fix it instantly. The problem is, when life is too easy, our minds become weak. We lose the ability to endure, to focus, to stay disciplined when things get tough. The Stoics understood this. They knew that strength, both mental and physical, doesn't come from comfort. It comes from challenge. That's why they trained their minds by deliberately doing hard things. Seneca, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, would sleep on the floor for days at a time. even though he had access to the finest luxuries Rome had to offer. Why? To remind himself that comfort is a privilege, not a necessity, to prove to himself that he could endure hardship and still be fine. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at the time, didn't need to push himself. He could have lived in absolute ease, but instead, he chose discipline. He forced himself to wake up early, to train his body and mind when no one was watching, to resist the temptation of indulgence. He understood that comfort weakens a person, while discomfort builds resilience. Think about it. When was the last time you truly challenged yourself? Not because you had to, but because you chose to. When was the last time you willingly embraced discomfort, pushed past convenience, and did something difficult just to train your mind? This doesn't mean you need to sleep on the floor or wake up at dawn like an emperor. But it does mean you should seek challenges instead of avoiding them. Take cold showers. Walk instead of driving. Resist the urge to grab your phone the moment you feel bored. Do the hard things, because hard things make you stronger. When you train yourself to embrace discomfort, you build mental toughness. And mental toughness leads to unshakable focus. It teaches you to stay locked in, to push through distractions, to resist every little impulse that tries to pull you away from what truly matters. If you can master discomfort, you can master your mind. And if you can master your mind, you can master anything. Let's get practical. How can you apply this today? Because all of this philosophy is useless unless you actually use it. The first step? Take control of your environment. Your mind is only as strong as the space you put it in. If you're constantly surrounded by distractions, your focus doesn't stand a chance. Think about it. If you were trying to read a book in the middle of a crowded street, could you focus? Probably not. But that's exactly what most people do every day. They try to work with notifications buzzing, social media just a tap away, and a dozen different things competing for their attention, and then they wonder why they can't focus. If your phone is constantly pulling you away, don't just put it on silent. Put it in another room, out of sight, out of mind. If social media eats up your time, don't just tell yourself you'll use it less. Set actual limits. Use apps that block distractions if you have to. If people keep interrupting you, don't just hope they'll stop. Find a quiet space, close the door, and let them know when you're unavailable. The Stoics believed in controlling what you can and letting go of what you can't. Your environment is something you can control. It shapes your focus, whether you realize it or not. If your surroundings are chaotic, your mind will be too. But if you create an environment that supports deep work, your focus will sharpen automatically. So ask yourself, what small changes can you make today? Maybe it's setting specific times to check your phone instead of reacting to every notification. Maybe it's designating a workspace where you only do focused work. Maybe it's simply turning off distractions and allowing yourself to be fully present in whatever you're doing. The key is to stop leaving your focus up to chance. Train your environment to work for you, not against you. Because when you set yourself up for success, focus becomes effortless. Second, train your attention like a muscle, because that's exactly what it is. Your focus isn't just something you have or don't have, it's something you build. And just like any muscle, if you don't train it, it weakens. If you do train it, it becomes unshakable. One of the most powerful tools for training your attention is meditation. And no, you don't need to sit cross-legged for hours like a monk. Forget the incense, the chanting, the complicated techniques. Just take 5 minutes, yes, only 5, and focus on your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Sounds simple, right? But here's the catch. Your mind will wander. You'll start thinking about what's for dinner, that embarrassing thing you said 3 years ago, or some random song stuck in your head. That's normal. But the key is what you do next. Bring your focus back. Every time you catch your mind drifting and pull it back to your breath, you're strengthening your ability to control your attention. Think of it like a mental gym. Each time you redirect your focus, it's like doing a rep. The more reps you do, the stronger your attention becomes. And over time, this carries over into the rest of your life. You'll find yourself less reactive, more present, and able to stay locked in on what truly matters. The Stoics practiced this in their own way. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to return to the present moment, writing in Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Seneca advised, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Both of them understood that the ability to focus the mind is the key to inner strength. So start small, 5 minutes a day. Focus on your breath, your surroundings, the sensation of being here now. It won't be easy at first, but that's the point. The struggle is the training. And just like lifting weights, if you stay consistent, you'll see the results. Sharper focus, stronger discipline, and a mind that doesn't get pulled in every direction. If you can train your body, why wouldn't you train your mind? Sure, here's an elaboration on that point. Multitasking may feel productive, but studies show that it can actually decrease our overall efficiency. When we try to juggle multiple tasks at once, our brain has to constantly shift focus, which not only slows us down, but also increases our stress levels. Think about it. Every time we switch between tasks, we're essentially losing valuable time while our brain recalibrates to the new task at hand. Instead, Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of mindfulness and focus, taking one thing at a time and fully dedicating yourself to it. This is where single tasking comes in. By practicing single tasking, you're able to give your undivided attention to one task, which means you're able to think more clearly, work more efficiently, and produce higher quality results. When you focus entirely on one task, you also enter a state of flow, where you're so immersed in what you're doing that time seems to slip away. It's in this space that you're able to perform at your peak. You'll be amazed at how much more you can accomplish when you aren't distracted by the constant need to switch gears. Not only does single tasking lead to more productivity, but it also brings a sense of satisfaction and peace, as you're not overwhelmed by a never-ending list of competing demands. Remember, the Stoics teach us to control what we can, and the present moment is one of those things. By focusing on the task at hand and letting go of the distractions around us, we regain control over our minds and our actions. And finally, remind yourself of this. Every moment you spend distracted is a moment you'll never get back. Time is the most valuable thing you have. Guard it, protect it, master it. The great Stoics knew that the ability to focus is the foundation of a strong mind. It's what separates those who drift through life from those who create their destiny. If you want to be in control of your life, start by being in control of your mind. Because in the end, focus isn't just about productivity. It's about power, presence, and living life with purpose.